She who thrives. Phoenix rising. The true me. The ups and downs crazy in life. So take this journey with me. She who thrives. Yeah. Good morning, sunshines, and welcome to She Who Thrives, a podcast about women who have faced different adversities in life and made it through and became success in their own right. And today, I am excited to introduce my next guest. I have followed her for years. I don't even know how long I've followed her for, but I'm excited that she said yes, that she was going to be on the podcast. Never met her in person. I've talked to her one time before, and now I get to see her through camera because we're in different states. But I am so excited that she said yes to me. Chastity Morales, yay!
Hi.
Hi, thank
Hello.
you
Thank
for
you so much for
coming
having me.
on. I know
Hi.
it was pretty last minute too, trying to fit you in. Um, I'm going through tax season too, so I was trying to make sure everybody was getting in there. Um, but yeah, thank you
Right.
for coming. And then, if for people that don't know, I record ahead of time. This is Valentine's Day, so I was like, I didn't know she was gonna say yes for Valentine's Day. But yeah,
It all worked
yeah.
out.
So introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, hey, again, thank you so much for having me. I mean, I'm very, very new to your show, so just even looking back and just doing some research on what you do, I love it. I love it that you really embody women empowerment, that you love talking to women that, like you said, have been through adversities and who are successful or, rebuilding themselves in many different ways. So looking at that and then obviously having a prior conversation with you, I was very excited to come on your show. Um, like you said, you've been following me for over the years, and I feel like I've kind of been through so many different chapters of my life in like within the last 5 years. So if you've been along for that ride, like thank you again so much for your support. And then just honestly having me on here is it's an honor. Yeah, this is really cool because I love that we're taking over the podcast space, and that your niche is women in my similar situation or in my similar field. So very excited to be here and to have a good conversation
Thank
with
you.
you.
Thank you. So yeah, when I started following you, you were you owned F45 with partners. And
Mm,
what
yes.
attracted me to was when um I seen you were a women's football, and then you went over, you were doing the F45, and I'm always trying to get different motivation, because motivation with fitness, because as I told you, I have PCOS. So, it fluctuates, my weight fluctuates a lot, and especially during tax
Mhm.
season, stress is one of the biggest triggers for me for PCOS. So I try to stay on top of it. So I
Mhm.
try to make sure I have trainers, whether it's boxing, weightlifting, whatever it is, so that way I can stay on top of it. Although I'm not focused so much on losing the weight at the
Mhm.
moment, but it's at least maintaining, or releasing that stress. So that was the reason why I
Yeah.
followed you, and I was really interested in you because you were, posting so much about fitness and all of that. And then that kind of like disappeared of you advertising that, and then you kind of disappeared for a little bit, and then you came back with some other stuff of you training and still being in that industry.
Mhm.
So I was like, something happened here. But I love the fact that she didn't give up. Although you didn't announce
Mhm.
what was going on, I kind of like felt what was kind of happening. And I think it's people that follow you for so long kind of knew somewhat what was going on without knowing what was going on. So do you want to
Yeah.
elaborate on that?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think that it's crazy because hearing you say that in our reality, social media it's an interesting place, right? Because like you said, you've been following me. You get to see someone's life from what they're doing to, what they like, what field they're in or hobbies or whatever the case may be. You kind of follow that. And it's interesting hearing it from the other side rather than actually going through it. So like you said, I played football for quite some time. That was a part of my life that still can't believe I did for about 6 years of my 20s. So it still blows my
I
mind.
think
But
that is so
that
cool.
character was
I
amazing. I
love
mean, she
that.
was. It was really cool. To be honest, to be able to say that I actually did that is pretty cool. And it really kind of pioneered what I'm doing even now and even through F45. I did that for about 6 years of my life and then ended up having a career ending injury. I tore my
Mm,
ACL. And that was like my big promise to myself. I'm like, look, I'm going to give it all I got. And when you get injured, okay. It wasn't like saying I was going to do it until that point. Trust me, that wasn't the necessary plan to say I'm going to get injured when I play this sport. But it kind of comes with the territory. And I knew that if that was to happen, it would kind of alter what I was doing on my outside life, which was trying to grow into this world of being an
mhm,
entrepreneur, which it happened. Maybe this is God's sign for me, God's plan for it. But I was literally at the very end of my football career and I was looking at opening up my first F45 gym. And see, I had found F45 when I was in Australia. I spent some time in Australia. And just it was such a brand new concept, but I loved it because it showed a lot of factors of community. That's what really drew me to it. And it was a lot of exercises that I was familiar with. Leaving football, I'm like, what am I going to do after this? I can go back to dentistry. I can go back to, going back to school, whatever the case. But I thought this would honestly be the right path for me and it just fit so well with what I had going on in my life and I was doing it all the time. So I was highly invested in it already. So when I moved into just understanding the concept, I started training. That's when I got my first training certification a few years back. And I was just encompassing myself in the business. I'm like, okay, I'm from San Antonio. I know San Antonio has a very bad reputation for being unhealthy. And I love my city. So I was like, it would be a good opportunity for me to utilize my network that I have in San Antonio and open up a business with something I know for a fact the city could really enjoy and use essentially. So I was very, very much like in love with F45. I did that for about 4 years. I had business partners, which, things of business happen and, values don't tend to align as the business starts to grow. So I decided, you know what, this is my time to exit and to kind of, with everything I've learned within owning a business, owning a franchise and football and the network that I was able to develop with all these things I was doing, I was ready to kind of take it on in my own route. So once I left F45, trust me, girl, I did go a little silent for a little while. And that just comes with, like I said, different values and me trying to figure out what my next move was about to be. And I knew I wanted to stay in the fitness space, but I also was like, where can I be utilized the most? And I was trying to figure out whether it was moving the corporate route, just doing personal training, redeveloping my own brand, which is kind of what I'm doing now, or, working for some type of marketing or take my shot at social media
mhm.
influencing. You know what I mean? Let's just see what happens. But I love training. I absolutely love fitness. It's changed my life tremendously, physically, mentally. Like you said, I love the connection that I get to develop and build with people. And I think that the entrepreneur side of me, like just understanding that there really is a legitimate business behind this, whether it's moving the route with owning your own app, or the fact that even just owning clients as an independent trainer and doing class, whatever the case may be, you can really build something cool
Right.
off of this. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now is taking really what I love because girl, there's no way I could sit in an office. I couldn't do it. I tried it with F45. It was not my thing. I could not. I need people around me. I am so like my energy is always on 10 like all the damn
Mhm.
time. So I look at it like I need to focus that on somebody or something or whatever. And sitting in an office for me was just wasn't my thing. So I decided to continue. And this actually happened at the end of the year when I got my LLC developed. I started to identify myself in this whole new space. I created a new character. I took time off to create something or to get back into the roots of what I love and take what I've learned and transition it into this new space of owning my own business, having my own LLC and developing it literally from scratch. So taking what everything I loved and everything, I'm now have a full on 30, 60, 90-day plan. I'm taking what I learned in my days of franchising, marketing, all that stuff. And I am completely creating something new. And I don't necessarily know where that's going to take me. I think having my own space would honestly be the most ideal thing because I've done it many times
Mhm.
before. But I'm honestly just having so much fun with it right now and redefining what this is and who I am in this business.
And that's great because there's so many people that fear going into entrepreneurship, although they want to. They fear the failure or the risk of that failure or whatever it is that comes along with, what holds them back. And mainly it's because of failure. The worry of that. But how you did it, where you went from football to F45, that didn't work out as planned. And I know you took some time back to reevaluate things and then pivot, and then it didn't hold you back. I'm sure there was some type of emotions behind that, because with it's a breakup. So with any type of breakup, there's emotions, whether you want to
Perfect word
stay in
for
that
it.
relationship or not. It's always going to be an emotion. And then you pivot, you regain your thoughts and stuff like that, and then you keep on moving forward. So it's like you're always going to have to figure something out. You're always figuring it out. You're never going to have everything figured out
Right.
100%. It was something that Gary V, I seen, he posted, I think it was yesterday. He has said, even in your 40s and 50s, you're still going to be figuring things out. So it's like it's true, because
Oh
even though
yeah.
you figure something out and you're okay and you're coasting for a little bit, something else might come along and it's like, crap, here you go again. But the
Mhm.
strongest is having that backbone and going through those. I don't ever want to say they're failures, because in other people's eyes may be failures, but for us, it's, to me, it's like a redirection. So when we hit those
Yeah, lessons.
roadblocks or whatever, it 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 helps us mold to that stronger person and be like, okay, I was able to get over that.
Mhm.
Now I could keep on moving and I know what that feels like. And it didn't kill
Right.
me. So what's next? All right, what's next? So I commend you for that, because there's some people
Right.
may be like, no, I give up and I don't want to do this no more, and go back to corporate worlds.
Mhm.
And a lot of the time, like you said, you just don't fit into corporate worlds. And then you'll be there miserable, and
Mhm.
it's just like, what, it's questioning life.
Right. Right, exactly. And mind you, like, and I love what you said about, failures and redirection. And that's kind of what I looked at it as. You're right. It was a breakup. It was a very emotional decision
Mhm.
for me. It was hard because it was such a big part of my life. If you were, like you said, following me during that time, I lived and breathed at 45. Like that's literally what I did on the moment I opened my eyes, the moment I fell asleep. And it took a toll on my life on top of like my outside
Mhm.
relationships and friendships and things like that because I was so encompassed in this world. And to do that and to give up so much time and emotion and you know sacrificed a lot of me in my, like such a
Right.
young age. It's kind of like, dang, like it sucks because that's where I feel that's what hurt the most. And then obviously leaving the people you develop the relationships with, it's kind of like, you have to do what's going to be best for you in the end. And if it just doesn't align, where you're, like you said, you're going to be miserable, you're not going to be happy in your space. And it does take a lot of
Mhm.
resilience. Like understanding that's what it's going to take is a lot of resilience and training yourself in those spaces. And it's not easy to leave something you're so familiar with or feel like you can do the
Right.
next big thing.
And
But
I tell
you
people,
know
some,
like you said, that feeling that you get.
sometimes even in partnerships, I tell people, whether they believe in God, is faith, or it's just universe itself, if you're telling yourself, you're feeding the universe, like, I'm going through something in this partnership and it's not 100% what you want, the universe is going to end up redirecting it for you. So if you're not doing it for
Oh
yourself,
yeah.
it's going to happen, and it's going to happen in the moments that you did
Hmm.
not plan for it. So
Right, and no,
yeah, but
exactly.
it happens for you, not to you. And then look at you
Hmm.
now that you're doing
Right.
other stuff and you're enjoying it. And I had to go through that
Hmm.
with my business. I dabbled in with a partnership before. It didn't work out, but I had started my business first. They approached me to do a partnership, and I was like, okay. But I what I did was like, okay, I'm not gonna bring you into my business. We'll create a new business, and
Hmm.
I still had my business on the side, and then did this partnership just to test it out, and it didn't work the way I
Right.
wanted to work. So that I'm
Hmm.
like, all right, transition back to my
Right.
business. So I seen it, because
Right.
with business, it's just in any relationship, whether it's marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, your girlfriends, period. It's it's all great in the beginning, but then when you're in it, sometimes it's just people's
The
point of
nitty gritty.
views are
Yep.
different. People, sometimes ego gets in the way. Ego, when someone has something, they're like, "Oh no, no," and come on, dude, sit back down. So, so different personalities,
Girl, I feel that. I had
is kind. It's hard. It's hard. So I tell people, if you're gonna go into a relationship, just like in a marriage, when they present that prenup, make sure you have that
mhm.
partnership agreement from the beginning, when everything is peaches and
Oh, yeah.
roses and everything else so wonderful, because when it gets down to nitty gritty and getting really dirty, people get really greedy when it comes to money. And then when you're trying to break up, oh, you see a different side of them. So, so
Oh,
if
absolutely. No, I believe that, and it's tough. Even like you said, in partnerships, it's hard to find partners in
Mhm.
general. I was the youngest partner in my group, and I was the only female with in like at a table of lawyers.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I was constantly surrounded by very intimidating individuals, and again, I that's where, like I said, the values just didn't necessarily align. I mean, it's hard to say that, it's a man's world. We hate to say it, but
It
it
is.
kind of is. You know what I mean? You're put in a space where you feel a little bit of
Mhm.
inferior, and maybe you weren't heard the way you thought you should have been, or that you're belittled because you're a female in a male dominant space, and it's a very scary place to be. So even moving into my next business venture, that's one thing I want to highly consider of who my partners are going to be. I definitely want to move back probably into owning another business, and I'm open to the fact of partnerships, but I'm going to be insanely selective on who I bring into this space, because the emotional like trauma that it causes in spaces like that,
Mhm.
what it puts you in, the stress, and you don't want to burn bridges with nobody, but aligning with values with the right
Yeah.
partners, as you know, is insanely important.
It's very, yeah,
And
it's
like even
very
like we were
hard.
talking about earlier,
Mhm. It's
employees,
very hard when you have to work, especially like you said, in a male dominant world, that they speak, and it's not, and this is from experience. So many people may agree with me or may disagree with me, but when you're sitting in at a round table with several men, they try to intimidate you. So with me, I have been very strong and strong minded, but there's times that I kind of like, I wanna say, stood quiet, because it's like, all right, they're trying to intimidate me, and I just don't have the energy to fight right now, because I knew that those times I'm holding
right?
back tears, and I just didn't want them to make me feel weak or look weak, because those tears wanna come out,
Ugh,
and
I feel
I
that.
tell people, "Don't mistake these tears
Hmm.
for weakness, because these tears is because I don't wanna go to
Right.
jail with what I'm gonna do next."
We're too
Right, because 'cause
passionate right
I'm
now.
very
We'll call it
passionate, so
passionate.
I
Yeah.
have to hold back, like, let me just chill out, because men can be like that. And, I had been working in the financial industry for so many years, and it was male dominated for a very long time, and it's still, I wanna say, it is,
Hmm.
although there's more women in it, but I had to deal with that. I had Even when I had clients and hired clients, and there were male clients, it was very hard, because there was a lot of times they didn't want to listen to me or my advice, and it was a back and forth. Not until I
Hmm.
kind of put my
Right.
foot down and got very strong with them will they really take my advice or take my word for anything. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't feel like I
Right.
needed to, that, because that takes a lot of your energy when you have to forcefully say something to someone.
Fight
Right.
for
So it
yourself.
takes a
Right.
lot of energy, and I just didn't want that anymore. So now it's just like, all right. And it's not being a feminist or anything like that. It's just like, it's a different vibe. So I decided just to work more with women in, in the beauty industry, arts
Hmm.
industry, health industry, because we understand each other. And I want to work with people that want to work with me, and not have them taking that energy,
Hmm.
because when you can tell when you don't vibe with someone. You have that anxiety when you're like, "Oh, I
Oh
gotta
yeah.
speak to this person about this." It's like, "Oh, they're calling me," and it's like that type of stuff. I'm like, I don't want to go through that no more, So it's you
Right.
have
No.
to be picky. But if you would have never had gone through it, like if I would have never had gone through the things I've gone through, I wouldn't know what I
Mhm.
wanted and who I'm gonna be picky and choose who I'm gonna
Right.
work with now. So if if there's
Right.
anyone in your shoes of going through partnerships and things like that, what would your advice be so that can avoid any maybe mistakes or anything that you made?
I guess my biggest thing is when it comes down to doing partnerships, like you said, energy is going to be a very big driver to your success. I really do believe that. But it also comes down to communication. Really, just make sure it's people that you feel comfortable communicating your opinions to, because if you hold things in, like you said you were trying to do before, you will get it just bottles up. It's human nature that if we hold things in, we keep developing stress. It puts eventually we're going to crumble, and that was me in my situation where I held everything in because I was so scared to speak because I felt again uneducated, belittled. My values weren't heard. All these additional things where I was just felt didn't feel
Right.
confident in that space and I couldn't express my opinions. Eventually, it finally came out, and by that time I didn't even know how to handle all that emotion. So I would recommend making sure that you can be partnered with people that you feel comfortable to communicate your opinions about, and that you're heard, not necessarily um, I guess undermined because of your opinion or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like it's not causes a conflict, or it's not heard as something that's smaller than what it actually is. And at the same time, make sure you have all your ground covered, paperwork, documents, everything. Like there has to be an understanding. And for me, the way that mine was set up was, I mean, I was young and I went into something very excited, but I wasn't being told everything. I was expected to know everything. And I really wish I would have kind of like looked at the fine print of a lot of certain things. Where I fully understood, but I also was just given contracts and expected to know. I wasn't communicated on, hey, like, let's all understand what's kind of going on, what our overall mission is, and X, Y, and Z. So that would be my biggest thing is communication, comfortability on that communication, and then just making sure you got your butt covered when it comes down to you signing paperwork.
Yeah, that's 100% true. It's 100% true with that. Yeah,
Right?
it's
Like,
I didn't have paperwork or anything like that. We split pretty good. It wasn't so bad on my end, but I kind of had that heads up and made sure I was okay without, not giving up my other business and all of that
mhm.
stuff. So I kind of like because I work with so many people in different type of businesses, I see what can happen and I see
Mhm.
the downfalls. I see the crazy fights between business partners and stuff. So I think that's probably why
Yeah.
I was aware of it before, but I didn't go into it with a agreement, which it was okay for me because it worked out for me anyways. Um but then after that is
Right.
just having to recover and then start again with your business and like you said you're finding your way and doing
Mhm.
your thing with your business now and um I know you it's method something, right?
Yeah. So just method training. So this is actually so funny how I kind of came up with this name, just because I mean that's kind of like your brand, right? Like your brand is your name. Like what does the name mean? Like is it appealing? Does it make sense? And I decided method training because everything that my training focuses on with my clients is muscle movement and mindset. So it's kind of like those initial things. And I was gonna name it M3. To be honest, I was gonna say, yeah, these are my methods, and M was like the big thing, and I was like, my last name starts with an M. You know what I mean? Like everything was kind of tying in, but M3 was taken in so many different ways. Like there's so many different businesses with this tag M3, and I wanted something very simplistic, something that kind of made sense and that was kind of catchy, and that can kind of use in a play
Mhm.
of branding. So I came up with method. Method was just the name, but the three identifies the three things that we focus on when it comes down to being a part of the method movement. And that's, muscle. We got to keep ourselves nice and strong at all means. You obviously know that muscle is the fountain of youth when it comes down to
Mhm.
your body and your mind, all these additional things. It helps you in so many different various ways. Movement is going to be just based off of, mobility. So something that I focus very heavy on that helps to release a lot of stress and, tension throughout the body is movement, mobility. And then mindset, of course, having the right mindset. And a lot of the times it's not about saying I have the right mindset in everything I do. Sometimes you need some guidance. What can I practice to ensure my mindset is strong enough? What can I go through? What can I accept in my life that has happened, that has helped me develop this resilience, this routine, this positivity in my mind? So, you know what I mean? Just helping people practice those types of things and adding it into their daily routine for a healthy lifestyle, just in general. And yeah, I thought those were all of my methods that I wanted to really encompass in my branding and what I can provide to people. So I kept saying the word method, and I'm like, I really, really like this, but what do I? And I saw the opportunity for M3 and method training. And I also use it. Like I said, I think I'm very minimalist when it comes down to like the styles of what I want to create. Like I'm not as flamboyant and colorful. My favorite color is black. I wear a lot of black and white. You know what I mean? So I wanted something that was very Nike esque. And yeah, I just wanted plain, simple. And then I used that play M3 on a lot of like my hashtagging and branding, like hashtag train M3,
That's the
hashtag
part
train
that
me.
I that
And it's
I
like,
that's
you
the
know,
part that kind of stuck with me. That's why I said method something. Couldn't remember the other part, but how I remember method was because the M and then the three on there. So I thought that was clever. But since
yeah, I
because
love
I'm
it.
a numbers person, I'm attracted to numbers a lot, and I
Hmm.
tend to remember things and with numbers.
Hmm.
There's certain patterns that I remember, but that's what I
Right.
remember was that M3. So that was pretty dope. But
Hmm.
it's true. It's like
Thank you. Thank you. No,
with
I love
with
it.
me going into working out and stuff, it's muscle. I'm strong with I'm strong because of me having PCOS. I have more testosterone in my system than I should.
Mhm.
So I have less estrogen and way more
Right.
testosterone. So I use that as to an advantage of
Hmm.
for to lift weights, and I lift very heavy. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty strong. Uh, very strong. My trainer,
Yeah.
my
But it makes you
yeah,
feel good,
so
right?
it makes me feel good, but sometimes I'm like, I'm not that strong because I have my trainer, so I'm like, I'm not that strong. She was like,
Yeah.
yeah, you are. You're stronger than some guys. I'm like, I
Hmm.
don't know if that's a compliment, but
I
okay.
love that.
But yeah, so
Ah, you have high
yeah,
standards. That's what it
so
is. Yes.
the muscle is there, and then movement. I try to walk. I used to run. I was a runner, and back when I was running, that's when I was like my fittest, but now as I get older, I'm in my 40s, 43, so, my knee's not working as good. My
Mhm.
sciatica starts working up. So now I just do treadmill. So I'm on the treadmill, but at least I try to get some type of movement in there. But then
Right.
mindset, like you said, that mindset is like everything. Cause every morning, some people see me and they're like, oh, she's confident. She's always doing something. She's a go-getter, whatever. But it
Mhm.
doesn't come to me naturally. Like I really have to give myself
Yeah, you got
a
to
pep
practice.
talk every morning because I
Hmm.
have issues sleeping,
Right.
and that comes along with my PCOS, having the high cortisols and stuff like that. So I try to at
Hmm.
least walk at night on my treadmill so that way I can release all of that to try to sleep as much as possible. And but in the
Hmm.
morning it's hard for me to wake up. So while I'm in bed, I'm trying to
Right.
give myself a pep talk. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do this. You got this. And all of this stuff, but that mindset is a huge thing because I tell people if you wake up and you be like, "Oh, it's going to be a shitty day," then your day is going to be shitty because you're saying it.
Right.
You're
It's
and
all
then
how
you're
you
going to
start
start
it.
believing it. So, and there's times that because of
Right.
my hormones all out of whack with my PCOS, there's times that I do feel that anxiety and that depression. So again, I have to tell myself
Hmm.
that mindset again, you got this. You got this. Just you may have to take a little longer getting ready in the morning, but you got this. Or just put your hair in a ponytail, but you got
You
this.
got it.
So that mindset
Right.
is
It's another
it's
day.
huge. So um what
Right.
are the techniques that you do specifically with mindset?
Yeah. So when I was at the end of last year, I actually took a long trip to Bali, and because girl, I hadn't taken a break in 3 years, and I went out there, and there was so much that I put myself through, and I went through like trauma healing. I did silent retreats. I did, like mushroom hikes.
You
I
did
did
what?
everything like up and down because I was just trying to figure. I did mushroom hikes, silent retreats, all kinds of stuff. Like it was, I got the full eat, pray, love
Oh my
experience,
god,
put it that
yeah.
way. But I needed it because at the end of last year, I was at that breaking point with my business where I was like, I'm not happy. What's going on? Maybe it's something wrong with me. So I took a full opportunity to just finally take a vacation after so many years. and just get away for like a legit amount of time. But I took full advantage of it. I had the time of my life. I met some incredible people. I found things that I could bring back home to practice. Like they are very heavy there on like the ice baths and the sauna, the contrast therapy stuff. And I had known about it, but I wasn't too familiar with it. But I loved it, what it did for me when I
Mhm.
was there. So yeah, I brought that back. So that's one thing I actually started doing, and I haven't done as much, which I need to because I loved it so much. But the ice bath therapy, I know there's such a cliche around it where it's like, oh, it doesn't work. Here's the thing: is it's really good for your body in general, but what you put yourself through, like I'm not too sure if you don't like water or cold weather. I can't do cold water at all, but it trains your body to have this fight or flight response to trauma, to things you know you don't want to do. So the more that I did that, and it's funny that you say like when you're in bed and you're waking up and you have to give yourself this pep talk, girl, I do that every morning and I don't know why I still do this to this day, but a 5-second countdown. And I do the same thing before I jump into an ice bath. It's like, look, you're gonna have to go through it. It's if you're tired, if you're stressed out, no matter what, it's the day's still going to go on. That 24 hours is still going to happen. No matter what, that water right there is not going to get any hotter.
Mhm.
Like it's going to stay cold. So you might as well just jump in and do it. So what I started doing with the ice baths, I give myself a 5-second countdown, like start breathing, deep breathing, something I learned when I was in Bali too, and incorporating some type of breath work under stressful like responses. But I do that really quick for that 5 seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, big exhale, and I get up. Like I wake up every morning around 4 a.m. I got to train clients. I got busy days to start. I'm trying to make something out of what I got going on. And I don't want to get up half the time because same thing. I can't sleep that well. My mind is always on 1000. So I get up and I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And girl, nobody wants to wake up at 4 a.m. I don't care who you are. I know it's a mindset type of thing. But if I could sleep until 9, I will sleep until 9. But it's just not going to happen. So I wake up in the morning, my alarm goes off, and I give myself at least a 5-second count, telling myself in my head, like, just do it, just go start the day. And I try to motivate myself to get up and develop that energy and that positive energy because I got to give that to people every day. So, this ice bath has been a huge change in my life, the breathing meditation, and then, yeah, exercise. I would be literally nothing without it. It's my career. I love it up and down. I preach it, I present it, I teach it, all that stuff because I know what it does for your body and what it does for your mindset. Your body releases this like bits of serotonin into your bloodstream, which make your body feel good. It makes your body feel
Mhm.
happy. But at the same time, exercise and getting in shape, as you know, keeping that routine is
Mhm.
not easy. It takes work. It takes consistency, and developing those habits and that type of routine puts you in this mindset to want something, to achieve something, create better habits for yourself. And I think it's your body's response that rewards you for doing what you needed to do for that day. Like you know how you feel after you've lifted
Mhm.
some heavy weight, you accomplished a goal that you may have had, and even just the day to day leaving the gym. You know what I mean? You feel better than you did when you walked in, and there's a reason for that because you did something good for your body that also checked off something good in your mind for yourself. So developing these habits have really helped me when it comes down to the okay, we're starting life over again, we're redeveloping things. Those consistently added into my routine changed the game for me.
That's I have to say that the routine part when I went, recently, the most recent change for me was my divorce. And then after my divorce, I wrote a book. And then after the book, I kind of like revamped my business and things like that. So when I was doing that, I had to tell myself, it's okay, you're going through this. Don't jump into
Mhm.
creating a whole bunch of routines at one time because you're going to overwhelm yourself and then it's
Mhm.
not going to work. So
Right.
I took one
Mhm.
routine at a time, and I'm like, okay, we're going to do this first every morning, and then we're going to do whatever it was, whether it was, you know, washing my face a certain way, or eating
Mhm.
breakfast in the morning and making it a certain way, whatever it was. I was taking small routines and then just going with that and growing and then adding more routines onto it. Because I seen that when
Mhm.
I try to be like, okay, I'm gonna do all of this, I'm gonna wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna eat healthy, I'm gonna all of
Mhm.
this, you get so tired and then you give up quickly.
Right. It's
Yeah, so then you give up
draining.
quickly. So then I just started
That's it right
incorporating
there.
things little by little, and that's what helped me. So I
Oh,
tell
that's great.
people, try to see what's gonna work for you because not everything's gonna work for everybody. So when I did my book, people asked,
Mhm.
is this gonna help me get through certain things? Like, no, I didn't write in there what exactly I did because honestly, throughout the years, I was doing different things. So I like what you said with the Bali and going to
Mhm.
Bali because I've been wanting to take a trip like that. Especially, I'm afraid to do the whole mushroom thing because I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
But I would love to do that. But I am so terrified to go by myself. Did you do that by yourself?
Well, I met people there, so, like, I have some friends that actually
Okay.
live out there, and that was, like, the whole thing because I was confiding in a friend of mine on my experience with business, and I'm like, "This can't be right, this is not how this is supposed to be," and he was just like, "Well, why don't you just come out here and I'm gonna take you through what I went through with my business," and things like that, very similar situation. So, I was like, "You know what? Why not? Let's go do it." But I mean, like I said, it's out there. Like, you know what I mean? Bali is a whole different world. But it's such a beautiful place. Like it was just full of like so many different resources that you can find just to make yourself feel better and like feel happy and things like that. I mean, you could wake up in the morning, go do yoga. You can go hiking on like the most beautiful mountains. There's so many other things that you can do out there, and everyone's always just so happy because it's a very like playful and based around prayer
Mm-hmm.
type of culture. So like you go there and it's so just like the energy is just super beautiful. So if you've been considering it, please go. Like I tell everyone, if you've even had the slightest thought about going, like I highly recommend it. It was one of the most like profound trips
How
I've
long
ever been on.
were you out there for?
I was there for like a little over a month. Like it was a legitimate trip, girl. It was a long time. Um yeah, I was there. I left at the end of December and then I didn't come back until really the end of January, and then that's when I realized like yeah, it's time for me to leave F45.
Yeah,
It took I was like it took me
I was
stepping
like,
back.
I've been wanting to do that, especially the whole after the whole divorce stuff that you really had to figure out who you are as a person and was I being a certain way because of that marriage or whatever it was that I want to say I probably did a eat pray love but here but not without the mushroom stuff but
Mhm.
um I had to I had to go through, I seeked out a lot of prayer with going to church and stuff, and trying to find different ways with breath work and all that. I didn't do anything with the colds. I grew up in Chicago, so I know the cold. And I don't like the cold, but you know what? Honestly, I can say sometimes I do miss it when I do go back home. I love it. The last time I was there was probably like 0 or
Mhm.
1 below, and I felt so good, and for some reason, like, my skin felt really great. Like, I loved the way my face was looking. So,
Oh, girl.
I may try that here, find somewhere to try to do that because I try to do different things, even if it's for the first time, just so that way, okay, say I did that
Yeah,
and
yeah.
see how it feels for me and for
Mhm.
my body. Because I'm big on it, like, look for
Right.
what's gonna be good for you, and I get it. I tell people things can be expensive, and not everybody has the means for it
Mhm.
or whatever. Um, so I try to find different things or even going on Groupon or whatever to try to find things economically great. Or even with the
Right.
work, you can do that for free because I like going to the beach and just feeling that sand on my toes
Mhm.
and then listening to the ocean and hearing those waves hit that the shore. Yeah, I
It's
just
just
love it.
soothing.
And just something like
Right.
that is for free. It's to just try to find what's gonna work for you. It's the best thing. But yeah, I definitely have to. One of my clients, I think she's going to Costa Rica, and she was telling me about that. She likes to go on different trips.
That's another
Trips, yeah.
place.
So she was telling me about that one, but it's like I have that fear of going. I have fear of traveling sometimes, and especially traveling by
Mhm.
myself. So it gives me a lot of anxiety. And there's
Mhm.
plenty of times that I've gone places and I'll cancel at the last minute because the anxiety is just ridiculous. So it's just like
It's a long trip, I will be
it's
honest with
I
you. It's a
envy
long
people
flight.
that can do that traveling by themselves. So yeah, I'm envious of you right now.
Girl, to be honest, like, if you can find somebody to go with you, I'm like, try it, you know what I mean? Who's gonna deny you going to Bali, though? You just gotta find the right person to
True.
go with for sure. But no, it was try it in the near future. I highly recommend it. It's such a beautiful place, and it'll change your life, legit. Like I said, you're gonna see things out there. Like I love that you said you love to try new things and that you're wanting to see, okay, what makes me feel good. That is the 100% place to do it without any like stigma around anything out there. There's so many different like resources, and everyone is just so highly involved and just get becoming better physically, spiritually, mentally. Like that, it's literally just that's all they do. That's all they do is just give you resources for that stuff. So if you are ever in that place where you're like, you know what, today might be the day I might just book that trip, please make sure it's Bali.
I'll
It's
definitely.
amazing.
I'm gonna do Bali. I'm definitely gonna do Bali because that way I can talk about it.
I hope I talked you into
That way I could talk about
it.
it. Now with method training, is it on an app or how are you doing that?
Yeah, so I'm currently developing my own process and developing an app. But right now, it's just more, you communicate with me, we book a consult and schedule, and I do have an app that I work through where you have access to all of your workouts, your daily routines. But it's very communicative. Like I don't have where I have just here's a program, follow it, good luck. I love to have connections with my clients. So we communicate, on a daily or even, weekly or even daily basis, and it's just more so direction because a lot of the people that I work with, they are in situations very similar to you and I. They're entrepreneurs, they're CEOs, they're people of a very high caliber who just want like, look, I have the means to do it. Please just help me figure out what it is
Mhm,
that I need to do. So what I always tell them is we find a formula for you, and workouts are included. Like workouts are a part of that process because I feel like it's a part of what method provides, and that's the muscle and the movement. We got to make you stronger. We got to make you happier. We got to make sure that your body feels good too. And just developing those routines, making sure that what you're also consuming into your body is very important as well. What you eat, what you drink, all those things. I'm very heavy on gut health. I got a lot of knowledge on that when I went to Bali, so I'm very very heavy on that type of stuff. So I just help people trying to understand like what they need, and that's going to take a lot of
mhm,
communication. So yes, I have an app that I utilize for a lot of my workouts and nutrition, and scheduling for a lot of my clients, but most of it is essentially done with communication with myself. So we spend a lot of time just understanding who you are as an individual, what works for your schedule, what exercises are going to give you some of the best results. What does our nutrition look like, helping you fall in love with food, not necessarily hate it because you're eating the same things every day, but understanding that, in moderation and in better understanding of what you need, that you can still enjoy food and have a better relationship with it. And then also, too, just teaching you better techniques to help with your stress levels. You know what I mean? Like incorporating all these things together, but here are some other techniques if we feel like this may not just be enough for you and the kind of caliber of person that you are. So, no, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I think taking a lot of what I learned in my own situations of owning a business and, some wins and fails and, trials and tribulations of everything. I've just more so found certain things that I know that I have utilized for myself, but I'm finding such a love for helping people find that for themselves as well. Because I know how important it is and how lost we can get in the
mhm,
grind. So I love working with strong independent women who own their own businesses or that are high caliber. And even some of the women that, hey, I'm a new mom now. And that alone is one of the hardest jobs in the world. So it takes a lot for someone to really find themselves after certain points of like that of their life where postpartum is a big deal. You're now having to change a lot in your life. You're possibly developing body dysmorphia about yourself, and a lot of those things, that women go through, especially after having a
mhm,
baby. So I work with a lot of women in those specific places as well. And then I also have, men on my side too, which is great. Finding out, taking out the ego portion of being a trainer for a lot of these men, and just more so helping them find what's going to help them develop better as a, a boss, or someone who owns their own business, or someone who is trying to find routine to add to his, schedule instead of having a dude, which I hear this a lot, where egos can kind of get in the way between male and clients and
mhm.
male trainers. So they like the fact of, okay, I have a woman that's specifically writing out, I have comfortability with her. I have a lot of understanding, and I can talk to her, and we're developing something that's not just about let's get bigger, faster, stronger, bro, but let's make you a better person in general. So it's been a really fun process. And right now, like I said, we're in the very early stages of
Mhm.
doing everything. And but so far it's been incredible and very
That's
fulfilling.
great. I know I think I've tried to do everything possible to try to maintain being healthy. I've gotten, I've signed up for apps, I've signed up for fitness trainers and all of that. And a lot of the times it's a it's just a it's not designed specifically for me. It's designed for quite a few, and they just give you
Mm,
this. So it's like, okay, I'll try it out, but then I
right.
don't have anyone holding me accountable. So I'm like, whatever. I spent this
Hmm.
for no reason or whatever.
Right.
There's some that do work. I had one that, she gave me the program, but I think it was not just for me, but what helped was that she did have that 1 hour. I think it was 30 minutes every week that held that type of accountability with me.
Hmm.
But I see
Right.
I especially for me that I do have PCOS and the PCOS hits everyone differently, that my hormones are all over the place. Sometimes what works
Right.
for that person's not going to work exactly, the same way for me. Especially with,
Right.
high intensity workouts that it's going to put more strain on my body and stress me out, that I actually gain weight as opposed to
Right.
losing weight. So a lot of people don't
Hmm.
understand that. A lot of people don't know what PCOS is and stuff
Right.
like that. Do you work with people with women with PCOS?
I have, yeah. I actually have a current client that has it, and I think I resonate a lot with what you're saying because we have the similar conversations. Her biggest stress, though, is the intimidation
Oh
of
yeah.
walking into a gym. So, like for you, like you're like, I love going to the gym. I love, being strong. For her, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't go walk into a gym right now. It's gonna stress me out. I've worked all day. I have to deal with kids. So, what we've been able to do is we develop her an at-home training program. So, like to take a little bit of that stress out. So but we also look at like what she's eating throughout the day and what's causing her body stress responses as well. That's a big thing. When your gut is inflamed, it raises your stress levels to a very high level. So I've taught her a little bit more about eating more fruits and vegetables and why these certain things are good, or certain recipes that we've been able to share together. But yeah, I think like I have worked with people like that. Like I said, I currently have someone. It's intense, you know what I mean, and it can be very frustrating, and that's something that her and I have conversations very
Mhm.
frequently about, is how frustrated she is because she's not really seeing the results. So we have completely tried to switch gears for her, and not necessarily saying she wants fast results, but look, enjoy your process, let's walk through this together, but how does it make you feel? Like, not to sound like your therapist, but as a coach, I kind of have to be. I have to be very empathetic to your condition and what you got going on, but I do want to make sure that what you're doing
Right.
makes you feel good. Okay, do you feel like you're seeing success on staying consistent at your at-home workouts? Yes, perfect. Well, let's continue that and see what we can do for you. How are these foods making you feel? Don't really like it. Well, cool, let's do a little more research on what you are going to like. How is your routine, or what's your lifestyle like? So I'm trying to fit everything in according to her lifestyle. You're working all day. Okay, can you give me 3 days out of the week and I'll write you an at-home program that can ensure that you're seeing the results you're looking for, keeping you limber and causing a lot less stress to your body so that you can fall asleep
Mhm.
accordingly. Perfect. Let's do that. Helping her out with certain supplements, things like that. It's like magnesium, collagen, things are going to calm her body down, calm her central nervous system down. So I aid to what that individual essentially needs. And people with PCOS, like I said, it's a very touching subject for a lot of people, and I empathize with you as well because it is hard. You want to see results like the way that the same average person will, but you have a condition that's kind of faulting you from getting those fast results that you may want. But you have to find things that are going to work for you and overall make you feel good, so we don't cause more stress to what you got
Mhm.
going on. You know what I mean? You're already trying to battle with trying to level everything out. Why do we need to make this process
Yeah.
hard for you? If anything, we can just incorporate small increments of progress and not throw everything at you. Like, I will be honest with you, I hate when trainers do this. I hate when it's like, here's a great program, which probably is an incredible program. But if it's not for you, then I'm just buying a program off of you. You're not
Right.
coaching me through this process. Coaching somebody really does require you understanding the individual, getting a little, into those dark places with them, understanding who they are, understanding their lifestyle, and being that place of comfort where they feel confident enough to communicate with you. Um, and that's, like I said, it's what I have with this girl. I've been training her for the past
Mhm.
6 months now, and she's doing great. Like, I love seeing her in the gym every day. She actually goes and works out at the gym that I do my work with my clients. I work in an independent
Mhm.
contracting gym, and I do thoroughly enjoy watching her train in there because she just looks happy doing it. Even though she's
Yeah.
sweating and she's like, "You're killing me today," but she's in there every single day because she found something that she
Yeah.
really does enjoy, but she also has another mindset behind it that, "Oh, this is going to cause me stress. I have to go to the gym." It's like, "No, we found a perfect program for you that fits in with your 3 to
Mhm.
4 times a week that you actually look forward to rather than
Right.
stress out about."
So that's why I tell people too. Like, I understand that the whole thing of not wanting to go to the gym. There's so many people around. You don't want that attention. People are looking at you. And many women with
Mhm,
PCOS have body dysmorphia. I am one of them that I do have that. So it's harder for me. But I've gone to the gym for so long already. But I do at home, and I go to the gym with my trainer. I haven't gone to my own gym for a while
mhm.
because I moved away, but I get it. I get at that stress that was me for a very long time. And there's times I still get like that because I still deal with body dysmorphia because it's not something that just goes away. Um,
Mhm.
but I like that you're doing I like
Right.
that you're doing that. It's specific to the person and it's not just general for everyone because it's never all size fits one thing. But we are coming to an end. So actually went over a little bit. Um, so
Ah,
is
sorry. Good
right.
conversation, yes.
So
Mhm.
before we do go, is there anything that you would like to say before we do go? And before we do go, I do have a question for you though.
Well, anything. Well, one, thank you so much for having me on, and I think this is awesome that we definitely flowed in the conversation, and I'm really happy the direction that we took because it does kind of go into the basis of like what I do professionally. But yeah, if anything, I think what we can kind of say, like to close this off, is finding that routine that you can develop for yourself is going to be key to anyone's success. So I think maybe getting some guidance, or I hope this may have opened up some opportunities for somebody to try something new for themselves to see if they like it. Um, Finding that routine, it's going to help you develop in general, and will kind of teach you a lot more than trying to
Right.
just change
Right.
everything
And you
up.
did you did
So
just use the word success. So this is one question that I do ask
mhm,
everybody. Do you feel successful?
I do, I really do. I think over everything that I've done, being able to put myself in this position where I am redefining myself in a space where it might be scary because it's the unknown. I'm doing it and I'm pushing forward and I have a plan for it. So I feel like for me, even just being happy in the space that I'm in shows that I'm successful.
That's great. That's awesome. And congratulations with everything that you're doing. And thank you for coming on and giving
Thank you.
I think it's been 55 minutes you spent with me. So thank you. It's very greatly appreciated. um, but it has
Thank
come
you.
to an
Thank you for
end.
having me.
I have to say thank you guys for coming on and watching She Who Thrives podcast or listening to it. Please, please, please like, share, review, and subscribe. Please review. I am reviewing all of the comments so that I can see what else you guys want to hear and see. So till next time, bye.